I will talk about the direct later, but for now, I want to feel good. Do you want to feel good? Let's feel good, because Nintendo just announced the title and the release date for Breath of the Wild 2. It's not Breath of the Wild 2 anymore. Can you believe it? It's not Breath of the Wild 2. Hit that like button if you're excited. It's not Breath of the Wild 2. It's a new game. It's a new name. It's coming out May 12th. We have a date. They did not delay it too crazy. And we start off with a really evocative, lore-based mural. Okay, there is a design and a drawing on an inner cave, and we see some of the basis for the enemies in the Breath of the Wild franchise, which now is Tears of the Kingdom. That, to me, is the most exotic Zelda name I've ever heard. Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds. Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom really implies that this is going to go places maybe we didn't even expect. This is going to be very lore-based, and I think this is going to be a culmination of so much for the Zelda franchise, so many different elements brought together. And right there, you see the tears. Those are clearly the tears that we need to collect. Clearly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tears. Will these tears be in dungeons? Will these tears be with guardians? Will these tears be with champions? I don't know, but there's 7 tears that you see right there, and apparently Zelda cried them. Or maybe this big thing cried them. Maybe this thing cried them, but it's Tears of the Kingdom, which I think is a phenomenally weird name that nobody could have predicted. Nothing with Breath, nothing with Wild, nothing with Sky, nothing with Dragon. It's Tears of the Kingdom, which to me is the most bizarre choice because I don't think it rolls off the tongue, and I don't think it really... It's not really great for Walmart, you know what I mean? Like, it's Zelda ToK. TikTok. Wait, did they seriously just do that? Zelda ToK? I don't know. I think it's a really interesting tone. I think they're going for a unique vision here, and I think this is your Great Plateau moment. So Zelda here runs and jumps off, and this is trying to show you that, hey, our Great Plateau doesn't just lead down to the lands of Hyrule. Our Great Plateau leads to a whole world, sky, and soft earth. Okay, so Link does his big dive here, and it clearly seems like this is going to be one of the main mechanics we encounter. They've shown it multiple times. And if you want to know how you get back up after that big drop, well, you slowly glide down, but you also can ride these rock elevators up. Now, what's interesting here is it looks like Link is using the reverse ability. We saw this in one of the initial trailers where Link reversed a ball back up a hill to topple some enemies. And here he is using this rock elevator bird to return to the skies. And we can see that there's going to be a lot of actual gameplay up there. This is climbing with the earth down below. And how this all interacts and works, how sparse the islands are up in the sky, how big the areas are, is going to be interesting. They have not revealed hardly anything of the main gameplay. They're showing bits and pieces of, here's some mechanics, here's like the climbing, and you can notice Link goes totally archaic outfit here, long hair and the arm. In comparison to when he is falling, he is looking original. So to me, it tells me he is going to start in the sky like this, Breath of the Wild, and then, man, he cries and he becomes this Link. He cries and the arm hurts. Now here's something interesting as well. Pause here. You can see that pieces of the ground are raising. Now I think this is a big reveal and something that is very interesting for Tears of the Kingdom. I think the kingdom itself is crying. Let me know if you agree. Look at how in the bottom of your screen right here, there is a hole in the earth that basically lines up with this platform that has actually just left the earth. It's floating above. We also see some red, it almost looks like lava, but I think it's evil, lofting another part of the world. And you can see off in the distance so many other pieces that have spires underneath, which I think is your indicator that these come from the earth. I think the earth is rising. I think the kingdom is crying and leaving, but I think it's crying upwards. Remember, we did see water moving up. I think that was your hint that tears are coming straight from Hyrule up into the sky. Now, this could be bad news because it could mean that the actual ground is not all that fleshed out. It could mean that the ground is very sparse and the sky is sparse. So instead of one giant world, you have sort of a really spread out world. But it also could mean that just this area is torn up. It could mean that there's a bunch of dungeons and maybe the overworld isn't as important here. As we continue the trailer, though, you see Link land on what I can only describe as an ancient airplane, an ancient paper airplane, and it has what looks like a magnet on the back, and then it's just a big flyer. Now, I do wonder if this is Link's ability or who gave this to him. How did he get this, and how does he even store this? This isn't like a bird that he can just whistle for. This isn't something the Sheikah Slate can just summon. Is this given to him by Princess Zelda? Is this given to him by a bigger, more heroic character? Is this something that is based on like good technology, the Guardians? You know, the Guardians kind of hunch you. Is this like good Guardian? Also take note of the highlights on the rock down here, okay? That's a very interesting shape, and I wonder what that means. It doesn't look like this place or this piece of land is taken to the sky. Is it something that is soon going to be taken to the sky? Or is this a mark of some sort of dungeon or shrine? Why is that looking like that? And then we also see what does look like dragons surrounding Link. Now, I do think that there will be a heavy flying element to this game. I mean, you're in the sky. You're raising back up to the sky. The Earth is leaving. It's crying. I do think dragons will come, and I think this is actually a good hint because I think Link begins the game with something more of a glider, right? He falls to the ground, he has this glider, and I think eventually he will get a sentient creature to command, and I think that will make this world really easy to travel and really fun. That's all they give us in terms of gameplay. I also want to talk about the date, because despite the name being wild, despite the tears, despite I think the Earth leaving the ground and raising to the sky, this game is coming out in May. Now, the original Breath of the Wild launched in March alongside the Switch, and I have to ask, do you think a new Switch is coming in May? Do you think the fact that they've shown so very little and not a bunch of actual in-game gameplay indicates that this is coming on a new system and they're saving that for a big launch? I also really believe that with how the Direct went today, and we'll touch on this later, the current Switch is on its last legs. It just seems like it. And I wonder if this is the beginning of not only the next era of The Legend of Zelda, but the beginning of the next era for Nintendo. 5/12 is a very unique date. It's a very interesting one. You know, it's spring. It still is spring. Spring goes till June 20th. So technically, they have a lot of leeway. They could have made it a June release, but they went just about as close as they could with May. Traditionally, May has been a big month for some games. It's been a good slot. It's also been a kind of avoided slot. May is now going to be the Zelda month. And just to give you a little peep, May 12th it should be a Friday. It is a Friday, May 12th. And they will not delay it now. When Nintendo commits to a date, they've committed. So the best part of this trailer is they are committed. You are getting to play Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda ToK, when the clock ticks to May 12th. All right, this is a big moment, and I think we're due for another Zelda director presentation. They could save it to February, but that would be 3 months prior. And I do wonder if we get a Zelda-specific direct sometime at the end of this year or sometime early next year. We're talking January. Saving this for February and showing off gameplay, they could do it because everyone will buy ToK. I love calling it that. But I do think there's a chance and a high chance that we get something before because that's just really, really pushing it. And the way that they roll this out, the way that they lead up to this will dictate a lot about the future of the Nintendo Switch as well. I'm very excited for this. It was the direct, okay, but at least we ended on a high note. What do you think of the name? What do you think of the pieces I pointed out? And what do you think about the world being very split and maybe not two separate worlds, but really one as the pieces are kind of stretched like a 3D puzzle? And do we think dungeons are back or not? Anything else you noticed in this trailer that you want to point out to me? Please let me know. 7 tiers that we're going to be collecting. That sort of seems like dungeons, right? I don't think they can have 7 champions. I think there's going to be 7 dungeons, and that is delicious. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Until next time, appreciate y'all. Hit that like button. Zelda ToK, SwitchForce, out.